Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Jeff and Paper Gary. It is Sunday, February 22nd, and I have a lot of work to do in the garage before I can get to aircraft building. As you might see, the garage is a mess, and there's a little bit of reconfiguration, so I'll give you a little shot here. Storm season is coming around here in Oklahoma, which means my new car is going to live in the garage somehow, and since the wife's car has to go in here as well, and the other side of the garage is aircraft building. We have cleaned out the third bay of the garage in order to put my own car in. So got a little bit more work to do before I can get there, and I had a whole bunch of stuff land over here on the aircraft building side of the garage that I have to get to before we can start digging into aircraft building. One of the interesting things is early on in this project, like August of 2025, I started ordering like my practice kits, and UPS lost one of them back in August, and it showed up on my doorstep the other day. So a few months late, but it's here. Now I have 3 of 3 Vans light boxes. So I think I'm probably gonna give that one away to somebody, maybe at the local EAA chapter or somebody at the local OU Aviation Academy, because I certainly don't need a third one of those things laying around. I've already got 2. But we'll try and clear out some space here, get things organized, and then get back into the Rudder, I think, where we go back to the R710 and start cutting that piece properly without trimming it too far and getting that assembly put back together. So I'm gonna do some quick cleanup in the garage. You guys just have a seat, stay tuned, and let's see what we learn. Okay, so get ready for a little bit of hyperspeed, Jeff, as I clean up this garage and get things a little bit more organized. I will say that my organization and shop cleanliness skills, while they're not terrible, they certainly don't match that hippie pilot who usually keeps a pretty immaculate workspace. So something I can strive to do better at. The R710, once again, so this is take 2 on this piece, and I'm going to introduce you all to a technical term that I have not used before, I don't think, but it is one that you may have heard. If not, we're going to call it creeping up on a line, a piece, a part, whatever it is. This is one of those parts where you just have to creep up on it. You can't put the part together as it fits or as they ship it to you and mark a line that says cut here. You can look at the detailed drawing that they show you, and if you cut from edge to edge like the instructions say, you may end up a hair too short like I did on R710 take 1. So I looked at R710 take 1, took the old part that I had, put it to the new part, we'll call that R710 take 2, and drew a line that was maybe, I don't know, 3/16 of an inch past where I cut the first time, and then put it all together. And when you do that, you'll see that the flange of the R710 that mates up with the spar doesn't sit up against there, right? So there's a gap in between there, and that tells you that you gotta take a little bit more off the top or off the edges, so to speak. So you see a lot of back and forth here as I mark those circles, mark those holes, and then go do some calculations and say, okay, here's 2 times the edge distance. And then I take it back over to the other side of the garage to the sander and the 3M wheel there to get it shaped up and get it to its final size. And I will tell you that when you get down to the final size of this thing, it's just barely 2 times the rivet diameter. Might even be just a smidge less on one of those holes. It's really, really close. And I went really slow to creep up on this to make sure that we didn't damage this part again. So just take your time with it, creep up on it, and you'll be fine. Don't get too aggressive with that sander, and you'll get there. So here is where I make a little bit of a discovery, and you're going to hear from live action Jeff here in a minute as to what I did, why I did, what I discovered, and what we intend to do to fix that. So part of the learning process, again, I don't think I moved the needle a whole lot today in the garage, but I did make some important progress, and that's just part of it. So stay tuned for live action Jeff. He'll give you a little bit more intel on what we're doing. Okay, well, working on the spar in that angle, the R710, which looks good now. I put that all together real quick to see if I could do just a test fit. The R710 kind of sets an angle between the spar and this 704 rib here on the end. Not sure if you can see that. So I wanted to Cleco that all together just to make sure that that angle between skin and that bottom spar was okay. And in doing so, I recognized that a few of my stiffeners did not get the angle trimmed in there. So if you look, try to get in here, if you look at these stiffeners here, right, they all get an angle trim on that end. And then for some reason I stopped on these last two or last four. So I'm gonna have to get in there with the Dremel tool, I think, and clean those up a little bit. So we'll figure out if that's the best way forward. So this is actually kind of my favorite part about aircraft building. It forces you to go find creative ways to go fix the things that you've messed up or the mistakes you made. And this is a life thing as well as aircraft building, right? So in everyday life, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have to be faced with figuring out how to resolve those because nobody's going to do it for you. At least not in my experience. So the aircraft building process is no different, right? You are not going to be perfect at this. You are going to make mistakes, and you're going to have to figure out a way to get past it. Now, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's daunting and slow, sometimes it's replacement of parts. But either way, you've got to find a way to press forward. So what I did was remove the end rivet in each of these stiffeners so that I could separate the skin from the stiffener enough that I could get a Dremel tool in there and trim down that piece the way it should have been trimmed before installation. And overall, this worked really well. So this is something you have to really, really be careful though, because anybody that has used a Dremel and has slipped with one of those things knows that you can do a lot of damage really fast. And the last thing I wanted to do was damage that skin and have to start all over with that. That would not be fun. So yeah, popped out a rivet in each of those things, put a little piece of cardboard in there to maintain that separation and put some of that blue masking tape down, and went really slow on very slow speed with the Dremel tool to trim these things down to an appropriate size. And then went back in there after the fact with some files to clean them up. All right, so clean up those edges, make sure that they're nice and smooth. Even after the filing, then I went in there with some really fine grit sandpaper to give it a nice finished edge like I would get off of the 3M wheel over there. So at the time of interruption, if we'll call it that, I had cut all the stiffeners down to size, and I had cleaned up 3 of the 4 with my files and my sandpaper, and I have 1 left to do. Now, you'll see here, I do take the spar and do a test fit on one side of this to see if I trim them down enough, and it looks good. Looks like those things are fitting in there nice and tight. And as I'm thinking about this, I shouldn't say nice and tight, it fits in there with adequate clearance to get to the holes. I probably also want to double check that it fits in there and yet does not rub against those, against the spar, right? So having a little bit of vibration or rubbing against those things would not be good. So I'm going to remind myself to check fit that when I put this all back together, and may even have to trim those off a little bit more. So that was all that we learned today. Many things, and like I said, didn't move the needle when it comes to progress a whole lot, but did get some very crucial and important elements resolved. And that'll be about it for today. I'll turn it back over to Live Action Jeff for the outro. See you guys. All right, everyone. Wife came home and told me it's time to go, so I'm going to clean up shop here and get on to the next adventure on Sunday. Didn't make a whole lot of progress in the garage today, I'll admit. Did get the R710 cut and fitted, so I'm good there. And then did discover this issue that we had with the stiffeners, and so far I'm pleased with the results. So the cut went well. I do have some cleanup to do on one final stiffener that's going to have to wait, and then I'll put some rivets back in there and we'll be on our merry way. So that's what we learned today, right? Double check everything before you put the rivets in, I guess. Measure thrice, cut once, all of those things. So that's it for today, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Jeff and Paper Gary out.